Welcome to the downside. My name is...
Oh, wow, your shirt is
Thank
see-through.
you. Well, you didn't... I thought it was a compliment coming, and then you just said see-through. You just said a fact. Oh, my God. Your shirt has blue in it.
No, I like it.
Thank you.
I just didn't notice the see-through
It was a
part.
risk.
No, I like it.
I'm trying to get summery.
Yeah, it's summer.
I like your aesthetic. I feel like it's... I'm going short shorts,
Yeah.
showing it off.
It's hot. So
It's so hot.
but,
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like that look I have one of those, a shirt like that.
Yeah.
I've worn mine buttoned. You're the second younger man I've seen like this with like a tank top underneath it, a white
Thank you.
undershirt. I like that.
I'm stealing.
It
I'm
looks
stolen.
good.
I
It
didn't.
looks good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I
I'm
think
glad.
if it was buttoned, I wouldn't be as into this.
I had to learn. I was wearing this over a shirt, and Tova kept going, "No, a tank top or nothing." And then I thought doing just button but nips out, and people said no.
Oh, yeah.
But
No,
I-
Oh,
no,
because
this
it's
is
too
good.
see-through. I see. Mine
too
is not
see-through.
see-through.
I think it's tough for me to get away with see-through nip showing, and
No, I-
be straight. I think it
agree.
doesn't.
It's false
It's
advertising.
baiting.
No, it's baiting. It's baiting.
You're
Showing
doing a
my
lot
body.
of it. Yeah, you're showing your body. Yeah.
I leaned a little too hard this week. I got to back off a little.
Yeah, you
straighten
gotta
it
back
up.
off. Yeah.
Straighten it up.
You leaned in for pride?
I said our podcast is like the gay Las Culturalistas. And someone said, okay, that's a little
Okay.
a little much.
Yeah, it's- yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Like, what are they
It
gonna
wasn't
get- are they
just
gonna get
that. It wasn't
mad?
in a vacuum.
I'll
You
tell
were-
him another straight guy said it was funny, and that should clear it all
You
right.
tell them. You tell those. What do we call them now? What?
Oh, my God.
The worst.
You okay?
Yes. My name is Gianmarco Soresi. Here with my co-host, Russell Daniels.
Hi, Gianmarco.
Here with our guest, Matt Braunger.
Hi, guys.
We'll get to you in a second.
Yeah. I'll be here.
Saw Cabaret last night
Yeah.
on Broadway.
All right.
What'd
Are
you
you
think?
musical theater? Do you like musical theater?
Love it. I went to school right outside White Plains, place called Manhattanville, and before that, I did big musicals in high school, like
Really?
big ones.
Oh.
And I remember going to like their black box theater and going, "Where's the big one?" Like it kind of crushed me. You know?
You like the spectacle.
I did. I like both.
Yeah.
But I was just like, there's no option to do, say,
Yeah.
Music Man here at all.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Well, you got trouble. Did you play Music Man, Harold Hill?
no, my friend Jay did. But yeah, he was the year before me. So then the next year they did Music Man. But
That's
I was,
one of those roles I could come back, That's what Jeff Goldblum did.
Did
He
you do it?
I did it in 8th grade.
Yeah.
huge though.
Still remember those.
Huge.
I bet.
Yeah?
I bet. Yeah.
You say it in a way that feels in a negative.
If I was going to cast you in something, that's what I would cast you as. I don't like that
Because
show.
I'm a huckster?
No, it just seems like you. Like that. You seem
Yeah,
like that guy.
Like Tommy Toon. You know,
Yes.
like
Yeah. You
know,
got like
lean,
something about that
tall.
part. Yeah. Tall.
Oh,
Yes.
Tommy Toon came to my school, and they would do this with musical theater colleges. Like, he came to test out a new musical.
Okay.
And, like, they made it seem like it's Tommy Toon. Really, he's just trying out something at the base level,
Yeah.
and he doesn't have to pay people, and they can say you get points for your equity.
Yeah.
And it was about Studio 54.
Oh.
But it was like the kind of Broadway Studio 54. So
Yeah.
my mom went to Studio
Yeah.
54 when she was like 14.
Okay.
And
Wow.
they didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
Though I do believe, and I gotta verify this, but I'm 99% sure there was someone played Stephen Hawking full on in a wheelchair.
Oh. In
with
that
the
musical.
voice.
Oh, my God.
I don't know if he had like a song.
I bet.
Well,
not.
you got trouble.
Oh
But
my God.
he did the Music Man. He did the full Music Man song.
Yeah. Wow.
But Tommy Toon, like, I thought he'd see me. I wasn't in it.
Yeah.
I
And we're
thought
not
he'd
in 8th grade anymore in this story, yeah? He didn't do the
College.
Studio 54
College.
No,
thing for
that'd
the
be
8th
amazing.
graders. What's everyone snorting?
Eighth grade would be like, that's the age my mom was when she was.
Yeah.
My mom, she's got some stories.
That's
Yeah.
wild. 14, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She was. They were doing. They talk about. My dad always says to me, and he's 70,
Okay.
and he goes, and he was like a Studio 54 guy too. He liked disco.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he was like, son, you have no idea. Before AIDS.
I know. I bet.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, but how much? Like, compared to what
Yeah.
are we talking about? Because I hear Studio 54 like they were fucking on the dance floor.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
yeah.
I think it was a little bit more
Yeah.
licit than that. But,
Yeah.
you know, I really feel like you have to understand. This is before AIDS. This is before camera phones.
Yeah.
This is
It's hard to even
before-
understand
That was
that.
the
Any
camera phone-
camera they'd have would be it'd be this big.
Yeah.
You know, like you couldn't hide it. So it's kind of like this didn't happen.
Yes.
Night after
there's
night
no
of this
record.
didn't happen.
There's no record of it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 5 people just
in
boning
good
at
ways
once.
and terrible.
Yeah. Well, then
terrible ways. Terrible
so
ways.
much terribleness. What's the sex club
Yeah.
that was famous? Someone it's
club,
like yes. I was about to say
Plato's Cave.
That it's
Oh, I don't know
Plato's
about that
something.
at all.
I literally was about to say like Poseidon's Nightmare
Yeah.
or something totally made up, but it's like that. Plato's Retreat.
Plato's Retreat.
Plato's Retreat.
That's
When
it.
was
That it was
this?
just this was 70s too, and in New York, and it was just look. It's almost more disgusting that it was straight. Like it was just
Sure.
like a straight sex club.
Yeah.
I feel like if it's a straight sex club, like it's a straight guy's version of it. It's not
Yeah.
like,
Right.
hey, we got together. We said, what do you like? And what do we
yeah,
like?
The
yeah.
female fantasies there. Yeah, it's just here's my truck that broke down, and this guy
Yeah.
looks like he dressed up like a mechanic for me, and he understands my feelings. Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it's. I almost feel like with your gay sex club, it's almost like that. They can't help it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like dudes. I mean,
They're all
Not-
Sure.
fun for the most part. Yeah, I wish I could go just for one, just to feel what it was like.
We were
I
talking-
always told you my favorite neighbor, BJ the DJ.
BJ the
BJ
DJ.
the DJ. She was
Okay.
a neighbor that I had for a long time. Was a DJ at Studio 54. BJ the DJ. Her name was
You said DJ like it was a new piece of information.
Barbara G.
DJ the DJ was a DJ.
Yeah. But man,
she wasn't a dancing jockey.
no. She had. I mean, she talked about arriving in a limo to get it just like
Oh, yeah.
that kind of like. Oh man, just to have a piece of that history. It's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. Did she share any like? And then they were doing
Not really.
cocaine
She's just
and-
one of those people. I've told this before in the pod, but I'm telling you, she's one of those people that anytime you hang out with her, you find a new like thing that she did in her life. Like she was a Trump
Yes.
stewardess. She, was on the Trump softball league with Marla Maples.
voted for
Like,
Trump several times.
no. She's very, but like just always has a different like thing that she was in Burger King commercials in the 70s.
Yeah.
So it was a spokesperson for that. Like, but she's not an actor anymore. It's just like a wild life.
I love meeting like our neighbor Hillary lives next door to us in a house next door, and she'll just have something new. Like every couple of weeks, she knows everyone's business, but not in an intrusive way. She'll be like, "Well, they're going through this, blah blah blah," But she at one point was like, "Oh, I was a backup singer for a female impersonator called Aurora Borealis in the 70s in San Francisco," and I was like, "What?
Yeah.
you were,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I believe it. It's that same thing where like they don't they don't dress wild or anything like that.
No. You never know.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
never know. So you went to Cabaret.
So I went to Cabaret, several understudies, and you've forced me to. He was an understudy on Broadway.
Okay.
And I just had that quick moment where you open it and you go, oh no.
Can I tell you?
And then I go, and you know who was one of the understudies? The co-host of Shane Gillis's podcast.
Oh, good one. Listen. Can I tell you something?
I would love it if that was
It's
true.
fairly common after Tony's for people to call out.
That's a great point. Eddie Redmayne was there.
Okay.
So I got to see whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
No, it was good. it was good. He performed in the Tonys, and it was a little much, but it worked in the thing. It was very good.
Okay.
It's after you see theater, I really like. We like to talk shit on this
Yeah.
podcast, but you see theater, and there really is a part of you going like, they gave it their all. That's
Yeah.
a lot what they
Oh,
did. I
yeah.
would never. I feel more.
No, for sure.
But I remember that's why I couldn't. And listen, I didn't do theater because no one was asking. But also, I'm like, I would have struggled, and I think you have the struggle to a degree of like, there's like, it's supposed to be really positive.
Yes.
Because to show up every day, you got to have a degree of. And I remember when they did The Sound of Music live. And it was like the first live televised thing.
Yeah.
And it was bad for a lot of reasons
Yeah.
and fun. But like people on Twitter were like, guys, you can't talk ill of this. We have to support the theater industry as a whole.
Yeah.
It was very, don't be cynical, don't critique. And I'm like, I'm not that guy.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't you wouldn't want a theater critic to do that. It's accepted that it is the heavyweight champion. Like
Yeah,
live
yeah, yeah.
theater is the heavyweight, especially Broadway.
Yeah,
heavyweight
yeah, yeah.
champion. I remember doing this show live from here. That was a radio show that was done live, and we did it at the Old Town Theater one night.
Uh-huh.
And I was like the one stand up, and I have whole story about this on a record of mine, but like that I had to follow Jake Gyllenhaal doing this monologue thing. And I came out and was just like, I'm like, I don't know how to, the stage manager's like, hey, you're up next. I'm like, no, what? Because he did this monologue. It's from the show he did. It was a 2-man show about the death of a child.
Oh
These
my
two guys dealing.
my God.
And he did this monologue that was just like, you're like, like he's built in a lab. First
Yeah.
off, and then he's also very talented and like not a dry eye in the house. And they're like, and now comedian, and I come out and I just said, give it up for my twin Jake, and they laughed so hard it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And but it was also like that's the magic of anything live, but it just the fact that it was on Broadway. I'll never be back, I'm sure.
Wait, what was this?
It's called Live from Here. It's like it's almost like a variety show where they do. There's like there'll be a band. Like I think it was like the dude from Vampire Weekend.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then
cool.
then they'll have, that because it was on Broadway. We should get a performer. And Jake just came over between the matinee and the evening and did this shit.
God.
Yeah, and then there's a sketch group or something. Like so it's fun. But it's like who doesn't respect Broadway live theater? It's just mind-numbingly hard, the repetition every single day. I used to wonder what would be harder, doing Night Mother on Broadway or doing Cabaret. I don't know.
Sure.
The negativity or the positivity?
I think no. Well,
Like,
Cabaret is pretty dark, and I also think
right. Sorry, bad example. But
like,
Music Man.
Yeah.
But I do think the positive is easier because I feel like if I had to, because of all, you're coming to work and sometimes you're going to be like tired and you're going to be like, and then if I had to then be bummed out on stage every night to that extent, like a Night Mother, where you're like, I feel like that would wear on
We're
you.
also 3 comedians, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
ultimately,
It's true.
Do you identify as a comedian?
Ish, but I think I don't know. I think it's maybe not because the happy stuff requires more of an audience.
Yeah.
And like an audience to be on board and be energetic.
Right.
And that can be when that's not happening.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But that's when I knew I saw Philip Seymour Hoffman do Death of a Salesman.
Yeah.
And this is when I was again. I didn't leave theater because I said no, but I think this was part of it where I saw him at Death of a Salesman. He walks on, and I believe his first line is, "I have such thoughts." And it's not even in the script because I've read it enough, but he walks in and he said, "I have such thoughts." And he starts sobbing. And I had this thought of like, I wouldn't want to do that every day,
night.
even if I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think he lived in a different space than I think some comedians do.
Right. Yeah. And I know a few comedians that would kill to do that. They want to do the sad shit. Because they are
Only when I'm really
seriously
sad.
hurting.
Those moments where I'm having the worst day, I'm like,
Yeah.
put me on Broadway right now. Let me be on a stage and say I have such thoughts and I will destroy.
The last time I loved doing stuff like that was in high school and in college because it's like I'm going to do like this 6 times.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it for 7 months or whatever the run is. Like,
Yeah,
boy,
I do look at now, having done now theater like here. I do look at like shows where you're like Stereophonic. I saw, and it was like it's over 3.5 hour show. Imagine doing that twice a day. You know what I mean? Like just the logistics of it. Like it's a great play, lots of cool acting moments, but like that is so much like work compared to like an hour and 40 minutes, and you're like boom, 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 no intermission. You know what I mean? Like so it's just
I found women who are the leads in musicals, men too, but it's more noticeable on women. Certain shows, they're ripped. Like when I've been on, I was on I did this, worked for 2 days, a guest role on the show called Carol's Second Act, just random sitcom. And there was this gal who played a doctor on it, and she just had these amazing arms.
Yeah.
Like we were just hanging out before we shot. She just had like a tank top on, and I was like, "Oh, you've done Broadway?" And she's like, "Oh, I have. How did you?" And I was like, "You're in incredible shape."
Yeah.
Like athlete shape kind of thing. And it's because of the repetition, I think. It's because of being, keeping yourself healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's I can't imagine.
So on the way home, we were in the subway. Tova and I were in the subway at 10:30, and it was like this, like a very movie-esque. We got stuck between 2 stops, and there's a guy at the end of the train who's acting real crazy.
Yeah.
And we are like not moving at all.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things. He was at the other end of the train, and it's not a very empty, pretty empty. And we're looking away, and then he just starts coming over.
Oh, God.
And I just had that moment where I was like, I think Tove and I have been together long enough that like I would have to defend her.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
Now, if I
So-
didn't know her,
so I
Nah.
just start considering, because I don't have a lot on me, but I had the cabaret playbill.
Oh my
and my
God.
phone, and I remember this feeling of like being prepared just in case, because he
hit him with the
he turned to us
cabaret.
where I just started. I was like, to get ready just in case. I put the playbill on the floor,
Sure.
and that was like me preparing for battle.
did you roll your neck and crack
And-
your knuckles?
And it was just one of those. It was like, don't make eye contact, and he was talking about people who don't listen, and I was just nodding,
okay.
just nodding, like I'm listening to
Sure,
you.
yeah.
I'm listening to
Yeah.
you, buddy. And then eventually we got to the stop. I kind of get between us, walk away, and as we leave, he goes, "You look like Hugh Jackman,"
Oh,
and I was like, "Aw,
that's nice.
he's not so crazy
Yeah.
after all." This is the downside.
He's dead on. He's dead on.
You're listening to The Downside
The downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.
That's an interesting move. I always, because I have headphones on always, and they're noise canceling. I mean, I'm not. They don't know that they're noise canceling, but I always, in that circumstance, pause my music and pretend to be asleep. That's my move.
You close your eyes?
Yeah.
That sounds terrifying to me.
But then I'm like,
Wait, show me,
They're
show
open
me.
enough that like, if someone were to like, if you were to move towards me, you know, right now, Gianmarco, if you were to move towards me, I could still like do it, you know,
Blind
I could
fury.
still react. But that's what
You'd
I
still get that
it's
samurai
like,
sword
it's like
out.
trying not to like a T-Rex. Like we've said that if you don't move, they can't see you or something. It's like me being like, if I'm asleep, they won't do anything to me. You know, there's bigger fish to fry.
You did, you know, where it's those movies like where if a guy grabs you like this, you spin him like this.
Yeah.
But your move was just this.
No, it was
that- yeah.
no okay. If I'm thinking of what my move is,
Let's do it. Okay, so you're regular.
Wait.
I'm going around. Ready?
Okay.
Yeah.
People don't listen. People don't listen.
Boom, boom. So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
the
it's a
1,
hit to
2.
the gut,
Yeah,
and then a
snap
boom
up. We loved that move as a kid, man.
That is
That's
my
I think
move.
that's that's like a Chuck Norris
If a
original.
little
I
kid
think.
tries to sell you some candy for his basketball team, boom, boom.
You got a little
Can I-
lower
can I
than
tell
one
you,
knee.
I'll be very honest. I think it would take someone hitting me before I did anything, though, because I would be too nervous that they're just going to get close enough. You know, I mean, the only time a woman hit me with a shoe once. That's as much of a thing
Wow.
that's happened.
She
to
took
me.
her shoe off and hit you?
No, it was on her, and she
She was already
shit.
armed.
It wasn't. She was kind of aiming at the guy next to me, but it hit me a little.
Oh, wow.
And she was having her time. It was like in those days of COVID where it was like a little more of the Wild West.
Everybody's on the edge.
And we all got off. We all got off at that next stop. You know.
yeah, that cleared the car.
Yeah, that cleared the car. And also sometimes that happens, and you were like, is she gonna get off too? Or are they gonna get off too? The person, and because then you're like,
Sure.
Then
This
you're
guy
like,
got off with us this
yeah,
time.
and then you're like, oh, I want to get back on. Then you know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
sure.
Like sometimes you're like, oh, like I
Real
yeah.
comedy of errors.
Yeah, we're getting away from you. Surely you know that. You know.
I saw the worst thing I ever saw on the subway. It was like a kid, and he had a skateboard, and he was like fighting with someone. And he said, "I'm a man. I'm a man." He was fighting. He just kept saying, "I'm a man." And he was a very young kid, and he took his skateboard and he smacked this guy in the head with the skateboard. I still think of every time I see a skateboard, I think of it. And then the moment he smacked him, he ran off and went, "I'm just a boy. I'm just a boy." And it was incredible. It was an incredible thing to witness.
Wow.
That he just like was trying to play that card right away.
Yeah.
Boy,
But really, just I now see skateboards and I see them as weapons.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, a man doesn't hit another man with a skateboard. Like, that's the wrong
Yeah.
man weapon, you know?
Yeah.
I would take off my roller skate and
Yeah.
hit him like
Yeah.
that woman did with you.
Roller blade.
Rollerblade.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not as
Man,
harsh.
Oh man, the other day I was just nervous but they turned out to be fine energy. They were smiling the whole time, but you know, you just never know because they're moving fast. So you're like, but it was one of those situations where you're like, oh man, they clearly just got released from the hospital. They were in a gown,
bands.
you're like,
boy.
you're like, oh, how did this happen? Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
He's
Like,
got an IV
like,
bag rolling
How
with
did
him.
this happen? That
Yeah.
it's like this fresh and like. And they weren't aggressive or anything, but they're just moving fast and smiling. But like you're pacing up and down
Oh, boy.
the thing, so you're all like everyone's like, you know,
Today's episode is brought to you by the NYPD. So I It's not that brave. Everyone does it.
They get it.
Yeah.
This is the downside. This is a place, as you can tell, we complain, we get negative. We don't have to be feel good about anything. If you're a fan of the show, join the Patreon. Patreon.com/downside. I want to plug this now, even though apparently they're sold out online. Jim Gaffigan. I guess we could say friend of the pod. Never been on the pod, but friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Sent us this. He has a new bourbon. It's called Father Time Precious Batch Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and here it is. So it's already sold out, but I'm sure they'll be making more.
Yeah.
So check it out. Russell's being more careful about drinking, but I'm gonna have some right now. Can you pass me one of those mugs over there?
Oh, yeah.
Feel free if you want any.
I'm good right now,
You're
but
good,
thank
yeah.
you. Like
Russell's. He's
Jim sent me
sober
one
now.
too, and the UPS person came 2 times. Like he came like 3 times, and I called. I was like, I'll just come pick it up, and they're like, no, he's coming tomorrow, and I'm like, but I'm in and out all day.
Yeah.
And then they sent it back, and then I texted him and was like, fuck, can you have your people send
sure
it
he'd
again?
love that, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'll tell him. And then my wife and I were in Vegas last weekend, and I just get this screenshot.
Oh, no.
And it's a list of all the comedians who had the bottle returned. And it's like me, Bonnie McFarlane. It's just like 17 people. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, and I just, did the LOL thing, just going, yeah, my bottle's gone.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't
Yeah,
be like, I'll buy it, Jim. I'll buy it.
Well, I'm thankful, and hopefully Jim doesn't mind that I criticized the comedians visiting the Pope pretty harshly 3 weeks before this episode came out.
Whoa, what was the problem with that?
Yeah.
Oh, just because he has a problem with gay?
Thank you. Okay, let me ask you. You
But you did it on
there's
the
a world.
Patreon.
First of all, let's ask this.
Yeah.
Were you asked? And
To
did
go-
you say no? bravely?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. If
I'm not an echelon. I love you for even thinking I might be. I literally I was thinking you're going to ask if I was raised Catholic, because I was.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I grew
interesting.
up with my mother saying the Pope can fuck himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I grew up in a
But
very...
she was Catholic.
Yes, but very progressive. Like
Oh.
my church in Portland, Oregon, which is weird because Portland is, to use a term, white as a nun's ass.
Yeah.
The church,
Ooh.
the parish, was burned down in the 30s for allowing black parishioners,
Oh
which
my God.
pretty awesome. And there were gay
Wait,
members.
you have to just clarify which side you are on there. You're like, it was burned down for allowing black.
I said the 30s.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You're like, good. That's pretty
No.
awesome that they burned it down.
No, it was burned down
Sure.
by not the parishioners, by people.
yeah.
Okay.
Racist people.
Yes, racist people.
And that's not good.
Yeah, no.
But the first part, yeah.
But anyway, so I grew up in this incredibly progressive church, and when I grew up, it was John Paul II, and it was my mother was like, he's fucking fascist, and this guy sucks. And
Did she
shit.
like the Pope before?
No, and didn't like the Pope after. This is the first one she's been like, he's all right, because he. Ironically, was kind of like gays should be allowed to, I don't know if he said marry or just live.
Not
or whatever
marry.
He said.
Yeah, he said live.
Yeah.
He said live.
He said God loves him, and my mom's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But she really doesn't. It's not like a hatred. She just doesn't care about the Pope. But then he goes and calls him the F word.
wow.
There's too much effatry, in
Yeah.
the priesthood. Which I will say, when I read that, I laughed because I imagined it in his accent. Because
Yes.
Yeah.
this little
Also,
how
in
you
his-
say
in his
like, oh,
costume.
God.
Like his
Yeah, and that
gay
outfit.
costume.
He's so gay.
That's the whole thing. It's just like,
Yeah.
maybe it was the cloaks and the
Yeah.
hats and the.
Yeah, and not being allowed to marry a woman, you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm to
Sure.
get to the point.
Sure.
But yeah. So no, I wasn't invited. So I never had that crisis of decision, and I would definitely have a crisis of decision. I'd be like, I don't
Would
know,
you really?
man. In the end, I will be honest. I probably would go. I probably would.
What would you say to him? You have a brief little meet and greet.
I'd be like, hey man, just say gay. Gay is fine.
That would
You
listen,
know,
and I would respect
just
that.
say-
If that's
just
what
say
that's
gay.
what's happened, yeah.
Just say gay.
Just say gay.
was I?
Just say gay.
when- just
Just
say.
say gay.
I mean, it's that. I always think of that John Waters quote on when he's on The Simpsons, and Homer's like, "Because you're queer. That's what you like to be called, right? Queer." And he's like, "That or John." Like it's just this. It's like it's one of those annoying things about being gay. I'd imagine is just being like, "Oh, what do I call you? Is this okay?"
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Like, just fucking stop. Gay is not my everything.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But your mom was Catholic while saying the Pope is a fascist.
Yeah, and they still are Catholic. They still go.
But how? I just feel like doesn't Catholicism really revolve around the guy talking to the guy?
Yes and no. It's just there's splinter groups. of Christianity all over the place, and even in Catholicism, where it's
a
kind of
different
like,
name though, or just when you see splinter groups like?
oh no, it's still Catholic. It's still
yeah.
Catholic, but it's just like our parish was certainly a church that if it got famous for this stuff, the Vatican would be mad. Oh, for sure. Yeah, because it's like you're not following doctrine, and it's kind of like, yeah, but Father Bob's really chill, so hush.
Don't you agree though that what could be better for a comedian? What should be more honorable for a comedian than the Catholic Church saying this is bad?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the goal. Your wife
yes.
met my girlfriend before I was with my girlfriend.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I think
She warned me this was coming up, and I knew it was coming up too.
The one piece of advice she gave my girlfriend, she
Yep.
said, I believe this is the quote.
Yep.
Don't fuck the comedians.
That's right. That's right.
And
Well, what does your wife do?
She manages comedians.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
you thought just
it's-
Just
she worked in
randomly.
advertising.
She works, she's an accountant. She's like,
She managed me. She discovered me, quote
Oh.
unquote, and we crossed lines you're not supposed to cross, and it somehow worked out after a minefield of
yeah.
events.
Does she still manage you?
No.
Okay.
That
Can
that was the secret sauce.
Yeah.
And that is why I think you guys are fine, because you don't work together.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys give each other advice and things, but she's not your manager.
No.
Yes. So she was mine, and also engaged to another guy. And we were
Can we walk me through?
Whoa.
So
Yeah.
Okay, so how long you been a comedian?
about 20 years.
You started in Chicago.
Yes.
And then when did she discover you?
This would be 2006, I think. And then I'd
In LA?
Yeah, I'd had a manager before that was just kind of phoning it in, got me with a commercial agency, and then I never heard from her. And then I was like, we can't work together.
And where are you at in this level in your career? How are you doing?
I still have a day job. I'm doing closed captioning for the hearing impaired.
Really?
Yeah, like me and Kyle Kinane. That was our last.
You
quote-unquote real
guys were
jobs.
captioning videos before all of us.
Yeah.
We're the forefathers. Yeah. But she, helped, would watch my act and go, don't, leave that joke, put this joke before that joke. Like, really.
She's just a fan. Just came after shows.
No. When we started working together.
We started working together.
And
Oh, sure.
The set she put together got me into JFL, into Montreal, into New Faces.
Oh.
And then probably that was 2007. 3 years later, that's when we just one night hooked up, and it was like, and I remember flying to.
Wait, please. I gotta. So when you first were working together, was there chemistry? Did you feel it?
We were drinking buddies. It was that thing where you go out with your manager and talk business and end up hitting 4 or 5 bars. And her dude wasn't the most fun guy, I don't think. And
Was he in the arts?
No.
Okay.
He did something in the business, but I forget what. But basically, they'd been together so long that was just like, I guess we'll get engaged.
Yeah.
And so
like you and your wife.
yeah, and
We were together short when we got engaged. We were together a year.
Okay.
So it's not the same at all.
A lot of yes anding on this podcast.
yeah. I like how you both got quiet.
Yeah.
It's a fond but greasy memory. Yeah.
Okay, so she's you're artistically involved. Not every
Yeah.
manager is necessarily helping with sets.
No, she
and-
was great. She's still the best manager I've ever had.
Was she ever a comedian?
No. She started out working the door at a Boston comedy club, and she said early on, I want to be a part of this, but I don't want to do that.
Boston, the one here.
No, in Boston.
In
That's where she's from.
Okay,
That's where she's from.
What was the one here that became the? There was something called the Boston here,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Yeah.
forget. There was.
It
There
became
was.
the comedy, the Village Lantern, and then the comedy shop. It's on
Yeah.
McDougal around
Yeah,
the corner.
yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so she's she had great. She worked with me really well, and we just ended up. It was always we'd have a bunch of drinks and end up hooking up. And
But it happened. It took 3 years at least.
it was like several times of this can never happen again. Never.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where there'd be nights where her husband is texting me, have you seen Kara? What, and
Oh my God, he had your
to know-
number?
Yeah, he had to know,
brother.
what was going on. Dude, I was at her wedding. She married him. because
Oh
we
my
stopped, and it was just this thing. Like, and look, 100% looking back, I should have done the I object situation, or just
Do you have the thought when it
weeks
happened,
before?
that moment?
I am in such denial that day was easily top 10, if not 5, drunkest times I've ever been drunk in my life. And like, I mean, my friend found me in a house near the wedding in a closet, inside a closet, because there was a party going on. And my friend Pam was like, Braunger, what the fuck? And I was just like, you drive me home. And she drove me home, and I gave her, you know that drunk where you give someone terrible directions? No, right. No, wait. Did we go by here? Left. And she's like, Jesus Christ.
Were you sad?
Yes.
You were.
Deeply,
You were sad.
but I didn't have any, I was in such denial because I felt like this will kill all my dreams if this comes out.
Of course.
We
Yeah.
cannot be open about this.
Well, I'll tell you, a comedian told me at the Comedy Cellar in Vegas, and we were
Great
dating-
place for advice.
Yeah. He said, and he was fucking with me because some guys, they can tell that I can be fucked with anxiety wise, and said like, he said, if you break up with her, you better make sure she breaks up with you, or you'll never work again. And I was like, I don't. It was.
And
it was
that's not
Eddie
true.
Ift. I
That's
don't give a
not-
shit.
that's-
Eddie Ift.
Yeah.
Eddie Ift.
That's
you know him?
Are you saying a name?
Eddie Ift.
yeah, a little.
Yeah.
Not we're not tight, but I know him a little.
Yeah, Eddie
But,
Ift.
like,
He saw me and he said, I can
it's-
fuck with this guy for a couple of days, and he
The
did.
thing is, I thought that too, but I feel like I have. And look, I'm lucky because it worked out so well, and I'm happy. And it's like I'm gonna die with this lady. Forget it. Like going, she'll occasionally be like, "Do you think we're gonna be okay?" And I'm just like, "You're not getting away from me. I'm not gonna fucking chase you. If you want to leave, you leave. I'm going fucking nowhere.
Sure.
I'm done. I've done it. I broke up with her a couple times." And the last time she took me back, literally all her friends were like, don't fucking do it. And then that was the one that clicked because we didn't work together anymore.
Yeah.
And, but it was just, it's one of those situations I tell people about and they go, what the shit? Because it's so, I've written 5 scripts about as a show.
Yeah.
And it's just like every time some new thing comes out that's just too fucking wild and it's just unrelatable and
Yeah.
it's just too off the wall. But that's the thing. That mentality of like only valuing your comedy, only valuing how far this, dumb business we're in, if we're honest,
Yeah.
can get you, like you can't do that,
Now-
and you wouldn't be with her if she was just this piece of shit, awful person that was like, it didn't work out between me and him, so I am gonna fuck him at every turn. And like,
Sure.
you know how much energy
Sure.
that takes.
I agree.
To have that level of,
Yeah.
of like animus against somebody that you're just.
But I've
you don't-
seen it as a child
Fair.
of divorce. I think I always expressed
Okay.
like I had the anxiety of I've seen people go to war with each other if one felt betrayed.
Right.
Now, I think show business is too fractured these days.
Yes.
To really believe
Yeah.
that like you'll
Yeah,
never
yeah,
work in this
yeah,
town.
yeah.
Oh, you're gonna ban me on Instagram and,
look,
Snapchat.
if and you've built yourself up, you've built your own house. Back in my day, like when I was your age,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like you had to get saw by the right person, and it was all
Sure.
about channels. It's kind of all about busting your ass. You've definitely I admire you for that. You've built like a lot of cool shit that
Sure.
online to get your stuff out there. If someone wants to book you or hire you or cast you,
Sure.
I don't think Tova could step in and be like, "Don't do it,"
sure.
Yeah.
unless she
I
could
knew-
make up some horrendous lie, which she wouldn't.
It was
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. No. Now wait though.
Yeah.
So she got married.
She did.
How
And
soon was
then-
the closest hookup time to that marriage, if I may ask?
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, like how many?
Before and after.
Probably like, honestly,
Yeah.
probably like a month each way.
Oh no.
Bad. Bad.
Wait,
Okay, so talk about the transition from she's married now. She's still your manager. You're still like doing this. What's that transition to then she's getting out of the marriage and etc.
It's just, I just feel like hollow a lot, where it's kind of like, I'm just, what am I doing? Also, back in those days, it was like drinking almost every night. So just
Yeah.
like certainly numbing myself and just being like, it's not that big of a deal.
But yeah, okay.
I'm that guy in his early 30s being like, I'm still figuring things out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and so I
my
was
God.
I
so
was
a month later, was it different when it happened? Was it like, well, we can't do this now? Ah, it's romantic. It's romantic. It's sad. Poor guy. He's going to be on the next episode. He's got a wildly different version of this.
Oh man.
Well, I will say the cool thing is she was on a plane with him maybe like a couple years ago, and they saw each other, and like she divorced him after like 6 months, and he understandably hated her living guts.
Yeah.
And he saw her, and they started talking, and he just said, I gotta say, he didn't say like thank you, but he was just like, it all worked out. He's like, I love my kids more than anything.
Yeah.
And he's with someone who he should be with.
Sure.
I think he was in, denial. I don't think he
Have
was.
you met her yet?
No, I never will.
Yeah.
Nah.
You find there's
We're all
amazing
gonna hang
chemistry,
out.
and you're like, oh no,
But it's
this guy should be my matchmaker.
It's kind of it's one of those things where I kind of believe in the whole butterfly effect thing, where I'll look back on these moments and cringe so fucking hard, that my balls make a fist. But it's like if I changed one thing, I wouldn't have my daughter. I wouldn't have this life. We wouldn't be living in this house I really like that we built together. And I'm sure in his heart of hearts, he feels the same way. I would.
Sure.
I'd be like, that fucking sucks to be cheated on. I've been cheated on. But it's like, thank God she left. I'd probably be trying to stick it out, thinking this is what you do.
I can't think of a bigger nightmare, though. I think all the time about the fact that I talk so much about my life.
Yeah,
and it's
sure.
like if someone had slept with my wife and they were a comedian and they told their tale on so many podcasts.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go like, I'm never listening to any.
I was not as transparent as you are right now at your age.
Sure.
I was a loud, very silly comic. Still am. But it was like, you wouldn't, there would be not a trace of this truth that I would talk about on stage.
Sure.
And it's still too wild to say, I don't care, I'll tell anyone, but if I talk about the fact that, maybe I will someday, that I was at my wife's first wedding, like that, people go, huh?
Yeah.
No one made a joke at your wedding with your wife? They said, oh.
No, well, the friends did to us.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like I remember saying to her, I was like, I like this so much better than your first wedding. I was there, and my aunt walked by and was like, ugh. Like she had a look on her face like she ate something that sucked.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, like you don't have the same dark sense of humor that
Yeah.
my people do. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I can't wait to go to my friend's like second wedding. I've never been to a
friend's
friend's
second
second
wedding?
wedding. Yeah.
Have I? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm sure I
Not
have.
yet. It's coming up.
Yeah. Oh, I have. Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. I think so.
So talk to me about,
Yes.
because look, my girlfriend is his manager.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And we have work. We do work stuff together. We're doing a live podcast
Yeah.
thing, and
Yeah.
my girlfriend is really helping plan figure out what is that show?
Yes.
Nice.
Nice.
Creatively.
Oh, cool, good.
But talk to
Thank
me about
God.
Yeah.
I've seen so many live podcasts where it's just like, we'll just go and whatever happens,
Well, and
happens.
we've done
Yeah,
that.
that was the plan.
But when you're doing a tour, we have to it just doesn't.
You got to zhuzh it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So get
you
those
guys-
tickets, guys.
Get those.
Get those
tickets.
tickets.
Yeah.
DC, the
DC,
22nd, Philly, the Boston, the 23rd.
Boston, 23rd, Philly, the 24th, and New York
York-
City Winery,
The 25th.
Nice.
So okay. So she gets divorced.
Yes.
You start dating.
We are we come out, but we're still working together.
Yeah.
And it's fucking weird. It's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's odd as shit. And I had this kind of persecution complex where I was like, I'm getting less work. People
You
don't
thought
like
so.
this.
You felt it.
Yeah.
You think any of it was real?
I do know. I had this. I'd only been with these new agents for a while, and they were like high powered, big shit agents. And I did near the end when our relationship had kind of fucking soured, and I won't get into that at all or say who they were, but they mentioned it as a thing to the manager I went with after her, like that was like, and we don't like. Oh no, that's right. No, excuse me. They said to her and to her boss that they didn't approve that was like a thing, and it was like, ugh. And this is when they were in this conversation of like, why are you guys being kind of shitty? And I to this day,
Well, they didn't approve of what? Like they didn't.
the fact that I was dating her. They don't. Then
'Cause
they
they
think,
are
they think it's
religious or
inappropriate.
what?
They
Like-
just think it wasn't inappropriate. Oh, deeply amoral motherfucking people.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sorry to get salty here, but it's like I don't have a grudge in the world. I don't hate anybody, but there are 2 or 3 people I could mention. I won't. That I'm just like, fuck you forever. Forever for making her feel like that.
Yeah.
Shit on me all you want.
Sure. Sure.
I won't get into it, but it was like I wasn't being the best person, la la la, but they were awful. And for them, it's like, feel that way. Feel that way.
Yeah.
Don't fucking say it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna say it, say it to me. Don't say
And
it
the
to
reason
her.
you said, like, is it a religious thing? Is because, like, well, that's like the history of the world. It's like you're going to shame.
Yeah.
You're going to
Yeah,
shame
it
the
feels-
woman for.
It feels
you-
like
you-
very weird.
Like the thing is, they were fucking emotional children because they were the kind of people who would kind of try to get people to fire their managers so they could
Yeah.
have complete and total control, which I think is a shitty thing for any agent to
Yeah.
do anyway, or a manager to say, don't be with that agent. All you need is a lawyer. But it was like one of those moves where clearly it was something where they're trying to put a wedge. It was like, to them, it's just, it's the whole end justifies the means. Yeah, we fucked people over, made them feel terrible for the rest of their lives, but we got a higher la la la.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's that mentality. So,
But that paranoia that seized you for
it
a
did.
second.
It did.
Something happened to me. I'm trying to think if I can say this as
Are
vague
we,
as
are
possible.
we boring the shit out of the listener right now?
No.
They love
No.
industry gossip.
Good. Okay, great.
I,
Sorry, not to cut you off, please.
No, when we do, he starts going. Our producer Chris
Yeah.
goes boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Nice. Good. That's a good one.
I'm
Next
asleep.
segment.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm gonna try.
I'm
so
honestly-
so
try
I'm
it.
gonna try it. You know what I'm about to talk
No,
about?
I don't.
Oh, I'm just talking about like paranoia.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Because this industry is filled with
yes.
paranoia.
Okay.
So
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
You
so
can be
there's-
very vague.
very vague. There was something that here we go. I was booked for, and then I wasn't, and it seemed like a clerical error.
Oh boy.
But then it never came back around, and I was like, And someone involved. I had this paranoia
For years.
for years, pre-COVID.
Okay.
I think any
Water
shit
under the
talk
bridge.
pre-COVID is done.
Water under the
7
bridge.
million people died. It's time to move on. So like in a car with 3 other comics, we were
Pre-COVID.
all pre-COVID. We're all talking shit. We got a
Sure.
long ride home, just talking mad shit.
Nice.
And then I said something slightly, and I'm saying this honestly, like slightly, like well, their thing. I think it's kind of soft.
Pretty.
And suddenly-
pretty. It's not. It wasn't much of a thing.
Pretty soft. Listen, probably could be much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And suddenly
their act.
Yeah.
yeah,
got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can see some of the punchlines.
Yeah. Sure.
The air changed. The air changed in
In
the
the
car,
car.
and it was weird. And the person, one of the people said, "I think they're brilliant." And I was like, "Oh, that seems to be a different tenor of conversation than everything." No one has talked about
It
brilliance.
was all
this car
fun
ride.
before.
It was all fun, and it was like,
Whoa.
and they were friends, and and it was just awkward. And the 2 other people, they bailed out immediately. I thought they'd like keep the fun times. I was like,
They
guys,
pulled
what
the
are we
ripcord.
talking about here? And then one of them even said, I don't see their punchlines coming at all. And I said, are you out of your fucking mind? It was, and then like it was this awkward moment after
Interesting.
where I said, hey, are we cool? And they was like, yeah, no, we're cool. And I was like, "Ay, marron." And so
So you had that paranoia for years.
I had that paranoia for years, and when this weird like clerical thing happened, I thought, is this
Did
this
someone-
that
Did someone
thing?
tell that person?
And then flash forward like later, I said, this thing never came around, and they said, yeah, apparently that person said no to you doing the thing, and I was like, and again. I don't have 100%. It could be other things.
Why did these fuckers tell this
They
person?
might not. Well, listen, and I could be wrong. It
Okay.
could be other reasons.
Yeah.
It could be my online, something I said online.
Yeah,
It could
sure.
be,
Truthfully, yeah.
It could be I said everyone who visited the Pope eat my ass.
You're
who
you're
knows?
ardent support of Netanyahu. Yeah, it
My
could be.
ardent support of
If you've
Netanyahu.
listened to this,
And
can I tell real quick?
yeah.
Air out of the room. I was doing like having a conversation with people, kind of just. Well, there's this about the whole Palestine
yeah.
situation, and I was like, "Look, guys, we're being wishy-washy. We all agree Netanyahu's awesome, right? And it was like everybody laughed, but one guy was like, "I like stop."
Yeah.
They still were
Yeah.
gonna be like, I
He
think
might
he's
have
doing what he has to
I've-
do.
Hey, listen. Hitler
Yeah.
got him to listen. He
Oh
got
my
them to
God,
listen.
I know.
It's not nothing having stage presence, guys.
Listen, there was a moment in Cabaret last night where And it was very interesting because the one guy reveals himself to be a Nazi.
Right.
And he goes to all his friends like, oh, we're going to let politics get in the way of our friendship. And it's what's so interesting about it is because cabaret is about like Jews being subjugated. You could assume it's always about Jews, but it's like in a way, it's like no, it's about the oppressed in this moment. And you
I
just
think of
could
it as being
feel
larger
the
than that.
tension.
Yeah.
You could feel the tension in the room.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's also so funny because the last two of three musicals I've seen, and I'm a Jew, just a reminder for this, where the last 2 or 3 musicals have been about Jews suffering.
Okay.
And there's just this degree of like. It goes all the way back to Jews. We were put into show business because that was what we were allowed to do.
Right.
And part of it is like, well, now we got a lot of great musicals about our suffering.
Yes.
And
Well, and I will say, not to correct you, built show business.
built show business.
Weren't
Sure.
put into.
Sure.
Built.
Built.
And then co-ran it with the Italians.
Sure.
You know,
and
like-
now you wonder why we got a lot of great musicals about Jewish suffering. Well, it's like,
Yeah.
well, it's because of this.
Yeah.
But what are the other
Of course,
musicals?
of course.
Oh, I literally saw Parade, and Parade. They
yeah.
both have. It's very interesting because they have like one beautiful song that like is presented like, look at this beautiful song, and then you later see. In this case, that song was like the Nazi anthem.
Oh, yeah.
Or Parade,
Oh,
it was like
yeah.
the
That
Southern
song's beautiful.
Confederacy anthem.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
like they both in both musicals. Honestly, you could say like it's almost copied.
Yeah.
because they present it first as like a beautiful song, and then
Yeah.
later you're like, oh fuck, this is the white nationalist.
The Red Hills
yeah.
of Georgia. That
Red
one-
Hills of
oh,
Georgia.
It's a beautiful
and it's
song.
the same as Cabaret is like,
Yeah.
tomorrow belongs
Oh, yes.
to me.
Yes.
And I was humming it on the way out. I was like, I got to stop this.
Well,
This is
wait,
the
but
Nazi song.
Wagner wrote all of those, right? Didn't those are all in his silly days.
Yeah.
But the point I was saying is
Yeah.
that paranoia, and again, I don't know if it was this thing or something else, but
Right.
like it was this horrible moment of my paranoia was suddenly
Somewhat confirmed.
validated.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And paranoia can make you it's a poison. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a poison to show business where it's like,
yeah.
but some of it's accurate. Some of it's like,
Right.
it's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
my,
true.
In my case, I focused on it far too much.
Sure.
It's the thing like the whole forces are working against me. No fucking forces are working against me. I love this line from that there's a horror anthology I'll call A Cabinet of Curiosities, and there's these two at one point this old sheriff and his old friend is this old coroner, and they sit down together, and the sheriff is like, I don't know what's going on with these murders. It just feels like this town's cursed or something. And his old friend goes, not to knock you, you're not that special. And I think about that all the time.
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
kind of like, no one's working against me. No one has time.
Sure.
No one has energy to take from themselves
Yeah.
to ruin me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, yeah, you called someone's act soft, boo fucking who, and those
In a car,
those
in a car
dicks,
in 2019.
those dicks who ran
Yeah.
to that person and said, "Hey,
But also, you're right in the way
Jim
of like,
Gaffigan,
you don't.
no, wait,
You're also right in the way that you don't know. You don't know. It could be truly something you said online. Like,
Yeah,
you,
you
don't
don't
know
know.
exactly.
They might
what-
hate my
you know,
comedy.
yeah,
But-
yeah.
but it was like, in my case,
Wait, if you no,
wait,
jealous
for-
perhaps.
That's bullshit.
There's a
Don't
great
you dare.
Paranoia. Have we talked about this? There's a great movie. It's a foreign film called Revanche or something like that. But anyways, the whole movie is this guy. He's getting in the mail. Like a videotape of him just like leaving and coming to his house, and it's from the same angle.
Whoa.
And it's just like he keeps getting this tape, and it's like not in his house, it's like far away, and he like tries to figure out. He goes to that spot every
Whoa.
day. He's like figuring out, but he ends up because he's so paranoid about he ends up digging all this shit up in his life, like from like what could it be? It could be this, and like ruining his life.
Yeah.
and like but like because of his own paranoia,
Oh,
and you
wow.
don't get an
What a
answer
great
of like what
idea.
the thing is. It's just like
Wow.
because someone keeps sending him tapes of him just like leaving and coming to his house, like a videotape, and it fucks with his head.
a great
'cause
idea.
It drives him nuts.
it's a great idea.
Anyways,
Yeah. But I focused on mine too much, where I should have just been focusing on, I don't know, my acting lessons, writing, anything else. You know.
And so tell me, because you say like, oh, the solution was not working together.
Yeah.
What kept happening? What was the struggle?
I think because it was on my mind, and I think it's probably because of me. I think she probably could have been okay with us dating and working together. People do it.
Did you make rules? Did you try to make
Scott's, wife is his manager.
Wow.
There's a couple random people that it works. For me, it does. It's too much.
What did you learn? Like, did you ever try couples counseling? Did you ever go, hey, let's
because
date night. Let's not talk about.
I didn't really commit until all of that was gone and we were back together, and she was like I want to move in together, and I was like, I've never this is embarrassing. I had never lived with a woman I dated before,
Sure.
and I was just like, fuck it, let's try it. My therapist was like, worst thing happens, you have to move out, you know? And I was like, okay, and I moved in, and it was the best
You're
thing.
like, worst thing. I burned that house down.
I'm still miserable. No, we moved in together, and it just clicked. Everything clicked.
Yeah.
And it was great. And it was that thing. I always say, like, the best things in my life happened because I was like, I don't know where this is gonna go. I have no way. I'm just gonna do it. And that was true of you know, going to comedy and moving to LA and you know, moving in with Kara and then getting married to Kara and then having a kid. It was just this thing of like, this could go horrifically wrong, but fuck it. You know, let's go.
Was it easy enough that you know? So you eventually got new representation.
Yes.
Did your wife, or when you were dating, did she ever go, oh, you're gonna do the last season of Mad TV?
No, that we were that was before we even dated.
So I just mean in theory, like anything.
Like
Did she ever go, don't tell? Are you sure?
It was all my, I will say probably not biggest things, but most of my biggest things were with her.
Oh, yeah?
You know, so it was like, and then every manager I had after that, it's like they were fine, but it was like, it was one of those things where she kind of got me used to having a manager that, like, I feel like probably you and Tova like have ideas
Sure,
together.
of course.
They would just be like, well, let's just keep doing what we're doing. And I'm like, no, man.
Yeah.
I'm fucking lifting all this shit. You move some furniture. Let's come up. Let's try something new. Let's pivot, kind of thing. And they didn't know, because it's like, it is that
You have a
thing
manager
where,
now?
No, just agents and a lawyer. Yeah.
So does she? Is she your spiritual manager?
A little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where
Yeah.
it's just, you know, it's really funny. If I write a script, I can't send it anywhere till she reads it.
Sure.
I can't. Because she'll give me notes, and I hate it because they're always good. And I'm just like, fuck. And then
Yeah.
I have to work, you know, another couple days on it. You know, it's the goddamn worst. You know?
I promise we'll move on. But you
It's fine.
ever have a buddy that you said to her where you were like, you got to sign this person?
Oh, she signed a few of my buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you judicious?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was really rare that like now, if I'm on the road and someone opens for me and I'm like, why is no one talking about this person? And I'll look them up and they don't have much social media or something like that. I'm just like, I'll tell her, like, you know, Molly or Biz or one of the people that work underneath her, like, to check this person out.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to do something. They got a really unique voice, kind of thing. But it's like, yeah, like there was a time where I was like, yeah, I think probably, or she would be like, you know, like Ian Carmel is from Portland too, and he was kind of like my little brother and stuff. When I'd go back, and he would open for me, he'd open for Kyle.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
it was just this thing where, you know, we went to the coast, Oregon coast for my birthday one year with a bunch of friends, and like he was there, and she was like, should I sign Ian? I'm like, I think you should.
Yeah.
You know, like but it's really rare. I'm just like, I would never be like, yeah, my buddy's struggling. Sign him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like managers they can't get you work if you're not doing something. You know, like no manager or agent can make you hot. Can make like you like, you know, does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Do you think your friends are grateful enough that you suggested?
Fuck off. You're like, I'm gonna move on from here, but if we could spend like 30 more minutes on this specific thing.
You owe us.
Yeah.
I'm going to Portland Thursday.
Cool.
I'm
Nice.
doing Helium. I will already have
I
been
must
there.
ask for
Go
what?
see
Like,
Gianmarco in Portland.
For
For
what?
what? Oh, you taking a little trip? That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a fun club.
I've never been to Portland.
I've only been for a day, so I'm gonna try to do some stuff.
Fuck it. I'll send you both a list.
Hey, yeah.
I'm
yeah.
not going.
Yeah.
but
Come on
but
out
in the future.
We'll
yeah.
do it downside.
Yeah.
Let's add it on.
Throw
Let's
it
spread
on.
out. Let's thin out those ticket sales a little more for the live shows. So you pretty much grew up in Portland.
I did.
Yeah.
I left for college when I was 17, 18, and then would go back during the summers then I moved to Chicago right after college.
What's with it? People shit talk in Portland.
Do they?
Like I just post them in Portland. People go, "Woof, you're going to Portland." And I
Yeah.
know there's the drugs
Yeah.
the drug thing.
Homeless too. Homeless thing. Yeah. Well, it's a progressive city where it's like,
Yeah.
like maybe let's not flamethrower them off the streets kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know, there is that thing where it's homeless
Just get
people
rid
are
of
like,
all the
I
benches.
gotta be
'cause
honest.
we're
I've been to a
progressive.
lot of conservative places. There's homeless people everywhere.
Yeah. Oh,
And,
100%.
and it's
Sure.
like gotten worse after COVID
Yeah.
in every city across
It's like, you
America.
know, Portland didn't make the massive crippling wealth disparity we're
Yeah.
suffering right now because
Yeah.
of
Sure.
billionaire greed. Like that's their fault.
Different than New York, though. I mean, New York.
Yeah.
It's such a crazy thing. Like, listen, the same way us in the train stories we're telling.
Right.
There's a stress. You go like, oh, this is a problem.
Sure.
But the idea that some people go, the solution is how do we get rid of these
I
people?
know.
Like,
Well,
how do we push them away from
Yeah.
our site? It's like,
Yeah.
listen, no one's happy about you go on the street or you go on the subway and people are sleeping across the benches.
Right.
But you can't go from that to how do we make them disappear?
How do I not see this?
That's fascist thinking.
It's
That's
literally-
crazy thinking.
It's to the point, and you were talking about the musicals, it's Nazi thinking. They want to feed them into an oven. They really do.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's like, it's the out of sight, out of mind thing.
Yeah.
Where, you know, it's a disgusting situation, but that doesn't call for a disgusting solution. There are ways, and, you know, I think it comes at the cost of very rich people paying a little more in taxes. I really
course.
think it does.
Of course.
Yeah. But the thing is, when people say like they shit on Portland, it's like it's like, yeah, you might know Paris, you don't know Paris. So it's you go to Portland and you know where to hang, where to go. You don't really hang downtown much. I walked around downtown for the first time in at least 6 years with one of my best friends, and I remember it was like, wow, it's a lot nicer than it was like during COVID,
Yeah.
where you had a lot of people busting in windows, a lot of graffiti and stuff, a lot of frustration. And Portland, for all its progressiveness, also has a lot of, I will say, like, you know, young revolutionary nihilism. Where it's just like, and I understand it. I was the same way. Where it's like, fuck this. I want to kick in the door of every building
We're
that
kind
looks
of there
nice.
now in our stage in life.
I understand.
Little middle-aged nihilism.
Middle-aged
But you gotta. Is there functionality? Is me
Yeah.
setting fire to a Starbucks gonna stop anything? Will it do anything? No. It'll get me arrested and it'll create an eyesore for someone to walk by.
We're not saying
But
fire to the Starbucks, but we're seeing enough fire. We're like, yeah, it probably deserves it.
yeah, if I see one, sure.
Oh, I'm not starting
I might
one.
Wait
but
to put
if
it
I
out.
see it, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's
If you
okay.
pass, you wouldn't even go.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You'd fan it a little bit.
But it's like, you know, Portland is like an insanely fun town. It's insanely livable. It's like the whole fucking farm to table thing. It's an hour and a half from the mountains, hour and a half from the sea.
I love farm to
You've got
table.
it's great. Like you've got it's this kind of, I don't know, crunchy granola Paris in a way. It's like I love it. I still love it. And
Crunchy granola is,
And-
because I was just in Denver. Is that crunchy granola?
it's not as crunchy as that. Yeah,
Okay.
It's Denver's a little more crunchy. Denver's where all the guys wear Patagonia vests. you
Sure,
know,
sure.
And I love Denver. I love it. But it's
I hear that description.
it's
though,
a
and
little
I go
bit
like,
more mountainy vibe. Well, obviously because of the mountains, but like
Maybe I love Portland.
I think you will.
You probably love
I
it.
think you'll
I'm
dig
looking.
it.
Yeah.
For sure.
My mom's boyfriend is there. Mm-hmm. I think
Your mom's boyfriend lives in Portland?
he has. Yeah. I think
Oh,
he's been
she's
like
on the
in
West
LA.
Coast. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I think my mom went for. This was like earlier on in the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
She was dating him and said, "I think I'm going to move to Portland." And I was like, "Can I meet the guy?" Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But then I think she went to Portland for 2 days. It rained
And she
slightly.
was like, "No, never mind."
And was like, "No."
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's going to call me and correct me, but I think it was like it rained a little.
The rain will drive you nuts.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Anytime
Seattle,
I go,
same way, right?
my wife, Seattle's worse. But like I love Seattle too. But like I cannot bring my wife back for like wintertime like anymore because she just gets fucking angry and bummed and like this sucks. And I get it. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I grew up with. It's
Yeah.
bad. But it's the thing of like, oh, when people are like, what's so weird about Portland? I'm like, it's got more strip clubs per capita than any other city in the continental United States because of like the really lax nudity laws. You can have a full bar and just naked people in the bar.
Okay.
And
Really?
yeah,
So-
yeah. I
'cause
grew up
now you
thinking
got our
I
attention.
grew up thinking every bar had a naked lady in it when I was a kid. That's what I'd say. There's naked ladies in there, Mom. And
Well, it really is different because when I was 18, my dad gave me $100 and went to a strip club in Baltimore. Me and like two friends.
Sure.
And it was like they put down the lap dance is
Right.
full nudity, and I was an 18-year-old virgin, and it was. I mean, it
but
was,
probably no booze, right?
I don't know. I wasn't
Well,
drinking
yeah,
because I was
okay.
18.
You didn't notice. Okay.
But like it was, and then later, and again, I'm not a huge strip club guy. I'm like this pig over here. But
Talking about.
Well, and I'm not either.
no, I know.
But-
Yeah.
But then I went to one in New York, and it was just topless, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Where's the pussy?"
Yeah.
Where's the pussy?
The thing I love about Portland ones, and back when we did Bridgetown, would have loved to have you guys on that. I ran a festival for 10 years in Portland.
Oh, wow.
And I would look at some tape and ask my more famous friends to slum it and be in it, But it
Yeah.
was like a lot of fun. It was like got called summer camp for comedians because we'd take them to all these fun places and have all these events. And I remember like the thing about the strip clubs, you go to the right ones, there'll be as many women as men in the audience. And it's just a fucking raucous time. And it's not this thing where you're like staring with weird rapey eyes. Everyone's just like, hey, you have the lines of a cello tattooed on your back. You're just like, holy shit, she's amazing. Like my wife used to be like, we're going to Sassy's. And it'd be like, I don't know, like, fuck you, we're going. And we'd go, and they do not, if you show any signs of drunkenness, you're out.
Really?
On your ass. Even if you were like, that guy seems cool, send him a beer. Nope. You're out. That's a sign of drunkenness.
Oh.
They're extremely
Kindness.
protective.
Kindness.
Like
Generosity.
We found out Cameron Esposito had never been to one, so we took her. It was like we were 2 blocks from Old Town where Magic Garden is, which one of the best ones ever. Super low key, the kind of thing you like walk into a dive and be like, "What the fuck?" Like the hottest woman you ever seen, just naked. Right as far away as that stove is.
Okay.
And we put her in there and shoved her on the rail and just gave her a bunch of money. And there was this dirty Taylor Swift, I will call her, dancing. And she threw her legs right on Cameron's shoulders. And I've never, buck naked, and I've never seen someone just freeze like, fuck, like I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 0 to
Yeah.
vagina in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was like the most fun thing where it was like male and female comedians are like, hooray! And it wasn't like, it was
you
just
have
a
a plan.
celebration.
Yeah.
Looks like
Yeah.
you had something
So
to do.
I'm gonna go with my mom. I think.
When
So
it's like, and you can go with your mom.
Yeah.
Like, I would say when I was a
You
kid,
especially.
But do you do the lap dances too?
it's not like that.
Okay, it's
you
not
don't
like
pay
that.
for lap
'Cause
dances.
lap dances still
they don't
very,
really
like-
have them.
Yeah.
They just walk around and talk to you, and then they go up and they dance.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, I
that
love
seems
that.
more communal.
Love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. There's one called Acropolis that's way out in the suburbs that's like an actual Greek temple. And the first time I went to that one, the women are just walking around while you're at the bar, and it's like, you guys having a good time? And you're just like, I don't fucking feel,
Yeah.
I feel weird looking
I'm
at you.
not into the talking only
That-
because I know as like a performer, when you talk with people, you're
Right.
putting on like a
Improv.
fake face
Well,
or
and I
something.
I
feel-
don't want to do naked improv.
I feel
you know?
weird if there's a woman just sitting here naked. I would be like, I'd feel bad for her.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
just
yeah.
a bunch of dudes sitting around. But
Well,
it's like
we should try it.
Be like,
It's,
if you could see in our brains right now, you'd have us arrested. It's a nightmare.
in my brain it'd be like blanket.
Yeah, no, I don't like
I
the
feel bad.
talking either, or the pressure to do anything.
Yeah.
Like the pressure to like,
Yeah,
you
but-
just want to go. There's an atmosphere, and there's naked people. Great.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
It's funny. I grew up with these 2 guys, Roger and Andy, who are like my gunkles. They were like 2 gay Paddington bears that lived together, still together, and now they have a third. They're awesome. But they were having dinner at my parents' house, and I think I was in high school, and they were talking about this woman who was a stripper, moved in next to them. They lived in a nice part of town, and she had her own house and a yard and a pool. Very highly paid.
Yeah,
She was
yeah.
very in demand in town. And Roger was just like, and she just suntans nude, and it's too bad no one's there to enjoy the view. And I'm like, let me come over, please, and they're like, no. And like, to me, like, that's kind of Portland in a nutshell.
Wait, you have gay uncle thruples?
I call them my gunkles. I'm not related to them.
Oh, okay.
They're just,
Are they older though?
yes. Yeah.
They sounds like from Portland, like a
Yeah.
thruple in there. I mean,
It sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty common in the gay community for like a couple that's been together a long time. to
I
have
just meant like a
take
certain
third.
age though. You're like, it seems like a.
That's who
like they're a little older.
That's who I see taking a third on more.
Really?
Typically, yeah.
Older.
Like one young guy.
Oh.
And my mom, when they did that, my mom was like so protective. She's like, I think he's gonna
He's trying
try
to like steal their money.
steal
or
their money
something.
or get written
Yeah.
into a will or
like
something.
It's like it's
But it
So,
was like,
and you're like, Mom, I promise they're getting something out of this
yeah,
bargain too.
believe you me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was always funny. I knew a couple older gay acting teachers where they'd take on just a young guy.
Yeah.
It was just funny.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever you see a huge, you go, okay.
Well, it's funny any sort of age difference of like when an old man takes on, you're like,
You see that Bill? I don't
Bill
even know about Bill
Belichick.
Belichick, but I'm like,
24-year-old
that
woman.
is-
He signed her homework like when they first met. When they first met, she was like still in school.
Wait,
and she
Bill
was like,
Belichick?
she got his autograph. Like,
by the way, I looked her up
that's
on
like the
Instagram.
first
She
time they
follows
met.
you.
No way.
She does. I looked her up on
Yes.
Instagram
Oh God,
yesterday,
Honey, if
because I
you're-
read the news article and I was like, who is this woman? I looked her up. She follows you.
That's so.
Miss,
So maybe-
if you're listening, run. You can do better.
Oh man.
You can find another expressionless man who's
If I could have
achieved
her on the
even more.
podcast, we could get Bill on the podcast. Can you imagine how terrible?
Have
what a
them
waste!
both on.
I
What a
don't want
waste
Bill
for us
on.
to have Bill Belichick on the downside.
would be-
So, is
So-
it how many downs is it?
Yeah. That's your first
In
question.
general.
So how many downs?
How many
is
downs
it,
have you
Bill?
gotten? Like
Yeah,
that's,
yeah, yeah.
that-
What's your favorite musical, Bill?
Yeah.
which team had more downs? That's who won,
He
right?
seems like
The amount
such
of
a
downs?
bummer.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you're like, so, I mean, there's a thing when you're dating an old man, but you're like, you're dating Bill Belichick. Sorry, again, if you're a fan and she's listening, I apologize.
I
to
mean,
you,
she's screaming,
but
"You don't know him,"
he
at her-
just-
at her
that's
car radio
true,
right
That's
now.
true. We don't know him, but he seems like a grump.
But the thing is, this fucked up my wife's from Boston, and like I would watch the Pats games, and and they were killing it and cheer along with her. But like it was that thing where he seemed like a normal dude. He seemed like a neighborhood dad.
Yeah.
So to me, this is almost like the neighborhood dad. It's like, have you met my girlfriend? Like, what the fuck?
I also, though, can
two
I say-
grades younger than me, and I'm 15. What is this shit?
As someone with an older dad who likes, I'm like, I think it is totally fine if a younger woman. First, you hope that they're having fun.
Yes.
Let's
Yeah.
hope that. But I also think it's totally fine for a young woman to say, I'd love to like be in a married with someone for 15, 20 years. He dies.
He dies, and I
get
have a nice
money.
life.
Right.
As the hope is, and it's probably rarely, but that they get along and that it's a mutual thing.
Yeah. Sure.
But I think it's totally fine to be like, I want to be part of this person's phase of life.
Totally.
And then at 50, I start my second life.
and like,
I
that's
agree.
fine.
I agree.
It's not like I would see them on the street and go, "Fuck you guys," you
Yeah.
know. Like it's just, And I am certainly judging, but at the same time, if they're happy, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they're the most happy couple.
maybe
Can you
they
imagine?
are. You don't know.
Maybe.
You know,
Maybe he's a wonderful lover.
he has like a
confidant,
Viagra shake every
and-
morning.
No,
and then
and he listens, and maybe he's a great listener.
could be
We
that.
don't know.
I really
he
want
loves to knit.
Could be a really generous man.
I'm really, I don't know if I'll ever be able to write it, but there's something about Woody Allen and his wife where I go, well, look, they're still together and my parents are divorced.
I mean,
What do you want me to say? I'm not saying it's
we've
good,
all had the thought.
but clearly it's more functional than
They're
a lot
still
of people's
there.
weddings. They got 2 kids. Seem pretty happy.
Oh man,
We can have her on the pod, right?
Sunyi.
Yeah.
oh please,
We can't
dude.
have Woody on.
You
You know,
would-
people get mad, but you can't be mad if we have her on the pod.
You'd have like
What are we gonna talk to her
armchair
about?
expert numbers on that episode. Like,
What were we talking about?
no one gets her.
Just unrelated. It never comes up.
Never
nothing,
comes up.
nothing. We just like get her take on like
Yeah.
comedy.
I would kind of love that. I'd kind of love just the that the fog of frustration that would cover the globe. People would be listening to it on translators.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it'd be in every language.
It's like when
she
Rachel-
finally talked.
It's like when Rachel
to
Maddow
these
got
two
the
comedians.
tax jumps taxes, and you're like,
You remember that? Rachel, I just remember it so well because I was at the gym. I was at Planet Fitness, and I wasn't close to my roommates, but I ran home to watch it with them because it was like, she was like,
She's got it.
tonight we got Trump's
We
tax
got the
returns.
tax
And it
return.
was the instructional sheet. That was just like where to put your numbers, and I swear something in me shifted. Like my like fawning,
Distrust.
Republican from then
My
on.
distrust
fawning
of,
over
like,
the
any-
liberal
you're like,
talking heads
shut
shifted.
up.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
You just
you
wanted
just
us
want to
all
make
to tune
money.
in.
You want a good rating,
Yeah.
so you get more money. Fuck off. Yeah. Anyways,
RFK baby.
And his smooth melodic tone. Speaking of musicals, I want to hear him sing. That voice.
Yeah.
Oh.
I remember the first time.
whenever I see him, he looks hot. You know what I mean? He looks like
Oh.
like if you touched him, it would be your skin would
You were
burn.
ow,
I thought,
Yeah.
I thought you saw that footage of him doing pull-ups, and I'm like,
No,
I mean,
no, he looks
he
like
is-
warm.
He's
He's
good
got a
shit
good
for his
body.
age.
I'd love
he
to
looks
have
like
that body at that
sunburned
age.
or something
Yeah, he
all the
does.
time. Like he's always like
Yeah.
Like he's been like roasted in an oven.
He looks
before
like he thinks like sunscreen is like that's for women. Like,
Yeah.
I would never.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think it's like I'm gonna get.
every interview straight out of the sauna.
Yeah.
He's just like,
Yeah. Why wouldn't I eat steak?
Stop,
Like
man.
all the stuff men do wrong that make themselves sick or die
Yeah,
early.
yeah.
His voice being like that, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Given because he,
But how excited were you about the vaccine? I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
which thing?
The fact that it hurts everybody but Jews. Like what did he say?
oh, yeah.
Wasn't that,
I was thrilled.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, he said some.
Like-
he said something.
And,
Talk-
and the footage of him, like he's not aware he's being filmed. Certainly, he's just having dinner with some people, and he's like, "Well, you know, it was designed to harm everyone, but Jews are immune." And I'm just saying that's that, and they're like, "Oh," and everyone's reacting like, "Interesting,
Interesting.
not bigoted at all." What
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying, it's oh wow.
And by the way, that relates back to our earlier conversation about paranoia.
yeah.
You get older, things happen to you, and suddenly you go, "Well, was it that shot? Was it that shot I
that
got?
shot?"
Maybe
Yeah.
no. Maybe you're just 70, and that's when the thing happened.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't the shot. Maybe
Yeah.
that would have happened. Maybe without the shot, you would have been dead at 60.
And,
So
and
shut
you,
the fuck
you
up.
know who feels great? Maury, my neighbor Maury. He's we both had the vaccine.
Let's go on to our next segment. This has got to stop.
This has got to stop.
This has got to stop. Something needs to go away. Big, small, personal, societal. Do you have one? We'll come back to you.
Yeah, please. You guys
We'll
first.
have you close. What's
Yeah.
your this has got to stop?
This has got to stop. Okay, commercials bringing back classic TV characters for the commercial.
Oh, God.
I understand. I understand the impulse. I understand you're thinking big payday. I love playing that character. It'll be nice to be on set with my friends again and do this thing. But at the end of the day, we see the commercial. There's the initial thing of like, oh my God, they're together. And then immediately there's a sadness to it. Oh God, why? Because then you're thinking, you're like, oh, the last time I ever saw this special thing, it's tainted because now you're in a commercial selling some shit.
Yeah.
And it just always makes the audience feel a little sad, I think. And I don't know if it's worth it, the trade-off of like a nice payday. I mean, granted, I'm not being thrown in this situation of having a huge, wonderful TV show and then getting a big payday 10
Right.
years later.
Sure.
But
I want to
gotta
know the
say,
size of the payday because I
know.
imagine it's like it's not only you get to see all your buds that you never have time, but you're like,
Right.
hey, you want to hang out this Friday night? We'll each get $4 million and get the best dinner of our entire
know,
lives. And
yeah.
you're like, yeah,
Right.
you know what? Fuck Russell.
And you'll no for sure. No, and I get it.
No, I
Like,
hear
I'm
you.
saying that is valid. That's a valid thing to do and to think. But I'm just saying it comes along with a sadness and a patheticism. Is that a word? To
patheticness.
I like patheticism, man.
patheticism.
Listen,
Um,
whether
that
it's
is-
WhatsApp or Pop Tarts, I don't want to
Yeah.
see you come back
Yeah.
as your character. Mad Men came back for the Unfrosted movie.
They did.
Yeah.
Did they really?
You don't remember that? It was
Was that in
Don
the first
Draper
40
and John
minutes?
Slattery. I thought you watched 50. You son of a, you lying son of a bitch. I finished that. Were you in that movie?
No.
Okay, good. Good. Good.
Everyone was though.
yeah.
I don't remember that. Part.
Well, so yeah, it was Don Draper and John
Okay.
Slattery what's his name?
Yeah, John Slattery.
Yeah, that's his name.
But I said his name and then I said Don Draper.
Oh, what's
oh God, I won't remember now.
yeah.
Oh my God. we
Don
can't-
Draper.
He was the
and-
funniest part of the show.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
But so and it was them presenting their slogan for Pop Tarts and it was so fucking sad. And Breaking Bad did it. They've
Yeah.
done it several times.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like,
Don't do it, especially on shows like, especially on like a drama. We really don't want to see a drama that.
If there was some story where it was like, oh, well, they got fucked out of residuals. This was, or even something that became
Yeah.
a classic in the streaming era where you already get fucked out of residuals. It's like, get your money.
Yeah.
I understand. But shit like that where it's like, your checks keep
ultimately,
coming.
I'm saying you can do
Keep
it.
coming.
Of course, you can do it.
Sure.
I just know that it's kind of lame.
It kinda fucks it up. It's
and
lame,
Kind of,
it
it kind of feels
sucks.
sad.
Yeah.
what happened to not wanting to be a loser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Yeah. And also to being like, I did this thing, I'm really proud of it, and it exists in this thing, and to break out and to years later like do it again, it just feels like you're tainting something special.
That you got to be a part of.
Yeah.
And again, there's so much money. I don't think we're not talking out of pocket. These aren't people who don't have money.
No.
Yeah.
They don't need to do this.
That's the main point.
Some
But
of them
yeah.
do, probably.
I
I'm serious. Like some of these TV people like might not. I mean, not need. But they're not homeless, but like like there's like a thing of like
Sure, they might have bought
this is
too
the
many
biggest thing
houses.
I've gotten in like 5 years, and I can
Yeah. But it sucks. It sucks how there seems to be no shame around it anymore. We've become a get
Really?
that bag culture.
Yeah.
Get that bag. And like,
and so
Well,
much
and
that it doesn't even register
Well,
sometimes.
the
You're
thing
like,
is,
wait.
it's like the thing that's been thrown around a lot is like there's no such thing as selling out.
Yeah.
Where it was like, yeah, but whatever for that, whatever the hell that means, none of us are the basis for Fugazi. But like at the same time, there is a level of integrity that you typically establish. Like even for commercials, all of us have checked the box. No cigarettes, not that they would ask me, there's not a lot of chinless dudes in cigarette ads, but like it's a thing where it's just like
maybe they use
I
it
don't
for
believe,
an anti-smoking ad.
yeah, could be. I smoked, and before that, I had a jaw like you wouldn't believe. But yeah, it's there is this thing. It's like of a line of things you won't do, and it'd be nice if more of those people were like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like I remember what's his name. The guys from Happy Days that are now
The Fonz?
the Fonz,
Harry
and
Winkler?
Ron Howard.
and Ron Howard dressed up as Richie and the Fonz for like to endorse to do like a pro Obama thing, and they made a bit as they're putting the shit on, being like, I hate this. I never wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And this is how much we believe in this guy. Kind of being like,
I like that.
That's
so it's like
interesting.
it's a
Yeah.
nice trick. You're not being paid.
Yeah.
This is not, anything.
Yeah,
like,
you have a
it's-
take on it, too.
Like it
You're
was,
not
and
like-
and it was the fact that they were like, we've been asked to do this so many times. And Ron Howard being like, I'm 68 or whatever he is. He's like, I don't want to dress up as a little boy again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he dressed up as Opie, too. Like he did the whole thing where that to me is kind of like in a nutshell of why it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Because they're not dreaming to put those clothes back on.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Anyways, that's mine.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
My this got to stop. It's a little. I try not to lean too technology, but there's this one thing with the Dunkin' Donuts app where you go to pay. So you click. So you click QR code, right?
Yeah.
And then what do? You have your phone in your hand. You click QR code. What are you doing with your
show
phone? You show it right
Yeah.
away, right? So what they do now, you click QR code. A pop-up comes up. So after
brother.
you've turned the phone, the guy goes, "Oh, it's there's no QR code," and then you have to turn it back, and you go, "You son of a bitch!
Yeah.
You thought I was going to check out. I have to turn my phone. I'm in a bad mood." And then suddenly, let me get the
Let me hold up
sprinkle
the
fucking
line.
goddamn
Let me hold
bullshit
up the
that is
line.
now on the fucking. And I'm holding the coffee in one hand or some
Yeah.
shit. So I got to like put it down, close it, turn it back. And the fact that I can see them going like, hey, this will force them to look at it.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Because I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see that you realize this would force me to deal with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
it's-
will it affect me going to Dunkin' every day? No.
Yeah.
Not at all. So will there be any consequence for what you did? Nothing. Except for this right now.
Yeah.
So fuck
Yeah.
you, Dunkin'.
change it. Yeah. You're not being slick. Be more slick.
Yeah.
Be more slick.
Yeah.
Be more slick.
Yeah. But don't make it an obvious thing that's like, oh, you're making me do this.
Oh,
yeah.
and
I hate it.
it's so gross.
Yeah.
Also, I believe, especially with social media apps, because they talk about being addictive, I turn off the notifications thing. I don't want to know every time I get a like on Instagram because there'd be millions every day. But also, every time I go to Instagram now, and they do this occasionally, it'll be like, hey, do you want to turn on notifications? Hey, do you want to turn on notifications?
Yeah.
You get to ask once. You are making
stop.
so much goddamn motherfucking money. You're every day, parents have to sue you because they say, does Instagram make kids depressed? Yes. I hate when they go to Congress to go, oh, does the app where you post a picture of your face and see how many of your friends like it or call you a loser, does it make you sad? Yes. We don't need to sit down with Lindsey Graham questioning you to find this out.
Can I tell you what Congress is? Literally, it's a fight. It's a fighter that's throwing the fight badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say I'm a mob fixer.
Yeah.
I'm in this front row being like, motherfucker, take more shots. Don't lay down so fast.
Uh-huh.
They're going now, Mr. Zuckerberg. If I wanted to shop, and would it sell something from under me, like say this couch? You know, like just fucking who wrote that question for you?
Yeah.
They
You're
should
not
be
asking,
forced to bring in their kids. I think
Oh, God.
they should start running with their kids and be
Yes.
like, here's
Yeah.
who's going to be asking the questions.
Oh fuck yeah!
Someone said, like, how do we stop this Finsta? How do we stop the Finsta accounts? And it was,
Yeah.
I saw something. It was because I saw Jim Jeffries was posting about it on Instagram, where I guess in Australia he was endorsing it about like blocking kids from having social media until they were 16.
Wow.
And it's very funny because I mean, you know, philosophically in our anarchist nihilist face, I'm like, let them do whatever they want anytime
Yeah.
they want. Let them do heroin when they're babies.
Yeah. But on another level, you're like, probably would be.
I wouldn't say
for-
16, but I think if you can get through at least partially through adolescence without it, I think that's healthy.
I remember not having a cell phone though freshman year of high school, and I truly believe, and I'm going to blame everything on this, that it set back my social life. Not having a phone for a year when everyone else had the phone, it was like, you have to give me the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can I hang out with my friends?
It wasn't breaking into song and dance at a moment's notice.
Could have been part of it too. They should have. Don't ban the phone, ban the tap shoes.
Yeah.
What's your this has got to stop?
I wanted to do something that was that I feel like New Yorkers would relate to as your guest, but it's nationwide. I don't think we can have the fake real estate in film and television that we've had in the past. We cannot have two people live in a fucking 4-bedroom townhouse and they're just scraping by. I don't know how
Yeah.
they you know, I even in the Spider-Man 2 when Dr. Octopus found this abandoned warehouse on the Hudson, I was like, get the fuck out. That'd be developed. What is that?
Yeah.
You know, and he just turns it into his lab
Yeah,
and
it takes
shit.
you out of
You know,
it.
it's just like, no, man. It's just real estate is the most insidious business, and they'll find every fucking inch. So write something in. If you're struggling, be like, well, I have a trust fund and I don't touch it, but it just goes to this.
Or
Or
it's like
I
Friends, but
inherited-
everyone reveals that they had a trust fund when they were kids.
Yeah,
Every
something.
single one.
Or it was, you know, they saved an old man's life at the park, and he was like, you
Yes.
can have my apartment. Like, so, it's got to have some shit like that folded in that you go, all right, I see why I have that. Like, you know, I don't know if you guys have watched and Just Like That, the Sex and the City news.
just to hate watch Chet's scenes, the stand-up
Chase.
comic.
It's
Che.
Che.
Yeah.
Che.
Che.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think they're great. One of the best comedians of our. I just don't. I'm watching. I'm like, what? They're not even telling any jokes.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for them because I was like, it was so baffling of like, that person has won a Tony for singing.
Yeah.
Really?
They were the original in Spam-A-Lot. They won a Tony.
Oh my
They have
God.
an incredible
You
voice.
can
Oh,
tell
yeah.
they have this incredible presence.
And so,
but it was like,
it's like, why not make that a cabaret singer or a singer?
Yeah.
Like, why not make that character something that's not like requires the stand-up
like
thing?
I watch. Was it Punchline? The Tom Hanks.
Punchline, yeah.
I watch it and go, yeah, that looks like the Comedy Store. That feels like that. We don't have fucking.
You ever see he went up at the Comedy Store? He did a set
Oh, he
on
did?
YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom
And he-
Hanks.
Oh.
And he's a funny guy. I could see. He probably did well, right? Probably was he okay or?
I would have buried him, but
Okay,
yeah.
sure. Nice. But, you know, it's this thing where it's like, okay, there's somebody wrote some shit for him. And it was like, I just think
Yeah.
they noted the quote unquote jokes to death. But to my point,
I've always wanted to make a video. I couldn't find enough footage to do it, but I wanted to go on stage or have someone else and do stand-up from movies to show how
yes.
hard it would bomb
yeah.
in a real comedy
that's a
club.
great idea.
Yeah, I want to do it.
Give,
but like,
give everybody a different set.
yeah,
you
but
know?
Chase was the best, and so I was like, well, I got to find I'll find a non-binary comedian and then put it
Yes.
together. But I want to do it because it's so.
It's a great idea. I would
Yeah.
go to that show. That'd be fun.
Sure.
As long as you introduce it and have like, here's a picture of what it was.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
like watch that first, but just like
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
person
I
do
thought on
it.
YouTube I could show like the movie and then like show me bombing in real life.
I love it. It's almost like a monologue competition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a great idea.
That would be fun.
Yeah. But like that show, like my wife watch it and I watch it and go, okay, so this person has $20 million. That's how they live
oh,
there.
yeah. The
Just these apartments, you're
are
just
insane.
like, what the shit?
Yeah.
How do you live in this? You know, this woman comes to town and she's like, well, I'm just an artist. I sell my necklaces or whatever the shit. And she's just got this giant, Upper West Side apartment or something. It's like, wait.
You feel the creators
Yes.
have become the richest people in the world, and they're just like, and like they're not gonna put any energy into pretending that it's like they're like just like make it like how we like things.
Yeah,
You
it's
know
like
what I mean?
it's like when someone
we don't even want to pretend to be in poor.
When an 18-year-old like influencer tweets or posts on Instagram like I love New York. There's no place like it, and I would never go anywhere else. And you realize they're like the daughter of an oil baron.
Yeah.
Like it's always we're just like, of course you love it. If you're that rich, it's a wonderland. But like it's true of I watch almost any modern movie, and it's just like, oh, I sell mittens at this place called the Christmas Store, and I have a 2-story Craftsman.
Yeah.
Like the fuck.
Do you
like
know-
I look at, I've got Zillow in my brain. I can look at it and be like, that's $3.5 million. That place.
You know what
There's no
show-
crime in this area.
I'm obsessed with the show. Obviously, I talk about it all the time, Succession. But I think
Yeah.
because they're the wealthiest people in the world and they're in these settings,
great.
what I love about that show, thinking about it, is that even the settings are so like rich people, blah blah blah, but it never looks fun. And it never feels fun. And I'm like, that's the brilliance of that show
Looks
too.
empty,
Is that it doesn't look like,
characterless.
because sometimes you watch shows and you're like, it feels so aspirational. You're like, oh, I want to be. And there it's so cold and cruel. And like, it doesn't seem like, oh, fun. Even when they go to the beach house, it's
so
winter
true.
and it's miserable. And it smells in the house.
You have about 30 seconds of, that'd be so nice.
And then
you go, but I like being loved.
Yeah.
I like that
And
people
so even in the set
care
design, it's
for
like
me
a
in my
perfect
life.
I love
job of.
There's some organization that they sneak in zip drives into North Korea, like to give. I think the concept being like to be like life could be better. And one of the things that's on those drives are Friends episodes.
Oh.
And I think it would be so funny if a North Korean like escaped and then moved to New York and they got to their apartment and was like, my place in Pyongyang was 3 times the size of this piece of shit.
They become like a complete hard left activist.
Yeah. That was a great one. Let's go to our final segment.
You better count your blessings.
You better count your blessing. Something we're thankful. Something sweet.
Yeah.
You got something, Russell?
I do. I'm thankful for this week. So, between auditioning and making this tape for this thing requires like doing some characters and things like that, and some noises and stuff. That my neighbors across the hall are out of town, because sometimes you're making tapes or doing auditions, and you're like very like, oh man, I'm about to yell or scream. And they know I'm an actor, so it's not like that. But you still don't. It feels you feel vulnerable having to like make some of those noises. And know that someone could be in the hall recording you for fun, or like, or just being like, what's he doing over there? Like, and so just knowing that they're out of town this week, it feels like, oh, there's a weight off my shoulders.
Do you think your neighbors think that you have a Japanese accent?
Stop?
Or do they know you're just making a character sketch?
I'm not doing that.
Are they bringing back Breakfast at Tiffany's? Are they doing a stage version? The line for the Mickey Rooney part is really short. We thought we'd get more people. We said an open call. It's so brutal.
I'll do my blessing. I'll try to be honest with this one.
Okay.
My mom is great.
Mm-hmm.
She lets me talk about a lot of things from my childhood.
Wonderful.
Sometimes I don't always hit the mark and maybe phrase it in a way that's not kind.
Oh.
And we have a very good relationship, and luckily I take for granted a lot of the comedic artistic freedom I have to talk about my own life, and I feel a privilege to it. Like I do think I feel a real like, hey, I lived through it. I get to talk about it. But it's obviously complicated, and I've been given a much wider breadth than I know a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Partially because my father part of the reason I'm talking about my father so openly, he will never listen to this podcast. He will never see me on social media. It doesn't enter his world at all, and it gives me a freedom. I think that honestly is like a secret weapon, or just a kind of paint that not everyone can use talking about their own life. Because I have a father who's so disconnected.
Yeah.
But you know, my mom, once in a while, there's been a couple things here and there where I think I might hurt her feelings. And I feel like we had like just a talk about one recently, but in a way where we could talk about it really real. And I was reminded that even though I was that child there, she also was that human being there dealing with it too.
And you have a thing, and she doesn't. You
yes,
have a podcast.
Of course, I have a podcast. I get to talk about all these things.
Yeah.
And all it is to say is we were just able to have like a very healthy, mature conversation about it. And I love my mom very much, despite many things I say on stage.
Yeah.
And many like, one-liner little turns.
Sure. Yeah.
But I a very good, supportive mom, and one who understands comedy. And I know that's rare.
That's great.
And lucky. So I love you, Mom.
And I will say, I have come across more than a few people who think a parent's job is to just keep giving always, and just I didn't ask to be here is an obvious line, but it's more kind of like, I can always move home with my parents. It's like, can you?
Yeah.
Should you?
Yeah.
Have you asked them? Would you pay rent? Like this. It's just like, oh, get over it, kind of thing. The fact that you're showing any level of gratefulness, I'm sure she would appreciate.
Sure.
So
Appreciate it, Mom.
Yeah.
Do you have a blessing?
yeah, honestly, just this week, where I basically just said to my wife, I'd like to go to New York and just do some shows and some pods. I know I don't have anything to promote, but I think it'd be maybe a cool thing, and why not? And I got on a certain amount of stuff, but a lot of the stuff that I was supposed to be on either fell through, or one or two things, or like, oh, the producer wants to, needs to take that week off, like little things like this. And I did kind of do it last minute. And I remember landing in New York and going, is this a stupid waste of money to get a hotel and a plane ticket and all that? But then, I was hanging out with some comics last night. I did a podcast above the cellar, and I went down to the cellar and hung out in there, which I've never been inside.
Oh yeah,
never once.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. This is awesome, and just to be here for a second to talk to people. And everybody I mentioned to was like, no, it's a great idea, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things I wish more people. I'm grateful for the freedom to be able to do that, in my life, and to do it without any real expectation. Like, I'm not promoting anything.
Yeah.
I'm not like, it's like, I wanted to be on your guys' podcast because I love it. Like, I listen to it. I'm a fan.
very kind.
It's very fun. It's hard to crack the code of making a very relatable, fun podcast. I was one of the people who did one of the earliest ones.
Oh, yeah?
And the thing, it was called Matt's Radio. It was me and my friend Matt Dwyer. And it was like, we just did it on the actual internet radio. And then our
my
producer
God.
started recording it and just putting it out as a podcast. And then podcasts were born. And the thing I've learned that's the hard and fast rule is a good podcast keeps you company, like a friend, that listens, even though you're listening to it. And that's the magic of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of podcasts kind of kick that idea around and go, yeah, well, whatever, I'm going to do. Whatever. I don't like performers who waste people's time.
Sure.
I listen to your podcast. It's funny from the jump.
I
like
appreciate
that.
it.
So it's like, I'm psyched being on here. And, who knows? There might be somebody you've never heard of me. It's just like, I'm sure a few. And it's like, this is dope. So I'm kind of just grateful to kind of, not to be at my age, young fellas, what I've learned. But I do feel like it's like, I just, you got to turn towards gratefulness. It's not just that I have a kid. It's just that I've got this perspective now that, fuck, I wish I had it earlier. But
Sure.
if I did, again, butterfly effect, I'd probably ruin everything somehow. That was my road was my road. So literally for this week. This is really cool.
That's great. Well, I appreciate it. And I thought it was cool that you did this Don't Tell set. I feel like Don't Tell has gotten to this place where some older comics are doing Don't Tell, and it's like, this is more than late night.
100%.
These days,
100,000%.
and it's like just to feel like
in some ways, it's more than like a Netflix special.
Yeah.
Because Netflix specials get pumped out and some get forgotten that shouldn't.
Yes, yeah.
And it's just like you're staring at a grid.
There's so many.
Where Don't
You get
Tell
lost.
gets in front of like I couldn't wait to do one. I was
Yeah.
like, fuck, I want to do one of those. And Kara was like, you got to do one of these. These are great. And Sophie Buttle was the one who really put me onto it first and was just like, these are great. And I watched them and I was like, Jesus, the quality's insane.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they're all like sweethearts and awesome and stuff. And so yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Unlike some streaming platforms, they know the audience needs to be mic'd.
Shade.
Where can people find you?
Oh, you can go to mattbraunger.com. I also am on Punch Up Live /Matt Braunger. I just put a new 20 minutes up on that.
Hell yeah.
And but you find my all my stuff on mattbraunger.com. I'm coming to New York on July 18th, and then Boston July 19th, and then Philly July 20th. So that'll be
Hell yeah.
my little East Coast run. They're all city wineries.
Nice.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
What's wrong?
Oh, good.
Did you just find out about Justin Timberlake?
Yeah. Oh, no. Justin. JT. Where can people find you?
At Russell J. Daniels on Instagram. And when does this come out again?
July 9th.
Okay, July 9th. You still have time to get tickets to the Downside Live. July 22nd in Washington, D.C. July 23rd in Boston /Medford. July 24th in Philly. And July 25th, City Winery in New York City. And come, it's going to be great shows.
You know where you can't find me picking up my sweet green that came 15 minutes early.
Oh, no.
To my apartment.
Oh, is that why you said no?
I know.
Oh, no.
Wait,
Yeah, for those of you listening,
Sorry,
for those of you
Sweet
listening
green.
and not watching, he looked at his phone and went, oh no. And that's when I made the stupid JT joke. But I was wondering, like, did you actually get bad news? But then you smiled after you said, oh no.
By the way, sorry. We have a thing from you about this. I'm going to do.
Yeah, what
Wait, sorry.
what are we doing? Oh my god!
What's on
Checking
your
our
phone
emails.
now?
He just said he hates
Just
when
a
comedians
business-
waste
an
people's
industry
time.
email about we have to respond to.
Industry is very generous.
Yeah.
a shopping platform.
Jeff
So
Bezos
for me,
is emailing us. Jeff Bezos is emailing
come see
us.
the live pod. It's very exciting. I also am going to be in Syracuse at the Funny Bone July 17th.
Yeah,
I think we're allowed to say this thing.
I think so too. By
We're
then,
going to American High, which makes sketches.
Yeah.
And we're going to be in some sketches.
we're going to be on some sketches for American High and
Russell will be the funny character, and I'm going to be the guy going,
Zoinks. And then you'll be at Funny Bone. Maybe I'll go to that show.
You fucking better go to that show.
Well, maybe I have dinner plans in Syracuse, New York that night.
What is American High? I'm sorry.
It's like it's on many platforms, but TikTok I think is its most. They do like sketches. There's some company they own basically a high school, and so they film movies there and TV shows, and they have a
How
sketch
did
Just
Good
show.
like
idea.
film like
And it's
sketches.
really cool.
I'm sure someone just, as I said, what's American High, said, ugh, grandpa or something. I get it. But that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just like it's
What a great idea.
It's the future of sketch comedy, or it's like we used to have Mad TV,
yeah.
and
Also, second follow-up, what's TikTok?
yes. And I will say, this Father Time, what was it? It was bourbon whiskey.
Is it going down smooth?
It was good.
Ooh.
This is the thing that I got too drunk in like 7th grade. I tried my dad's scotch, got sick, and so it always tastes like. I think I'm starting to mature into being able to drink it, which is
yeah,
good because I'm
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
get
yeah.
drunk without the calories.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. And,
what do you
uh,
usually drink? Beer?
No, I'm like a margarita boy.
Oh, I love margaritas.
But
God
like,
damn.
I need to get to the place where I can like have this every day,
Yeah.
every morning.
Ooh, every morning.
Take it from a longtime drinker, agave's where it's at. Tequila, mezcal, sotol. It's easier
I
on
love
your
a
organs,
mezcal.
your brain, your liver, all that
Wait,
stuff.
say it one more time.
Tequila,
Tequila?
mezcal, and sotol. SOTOL. It's an
Never heard
agave
of that.
liquor.
I love mezcal.
Yeah, me too. So smoky.
Wait, do you know Nicole Parker?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh,
I
yeah.
did a show with her just
Oh,
recently.
she's
amazing.
a gem, dude.
I just forgot because of the MTV.
Yeah, she was in the cast.
Oh,
when I was
Matt
oh
TV.
right. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, she
cool.
was the Wicked Witch.
Yeah. I just did Titanic with her.
Oh wow,
yeah,
very
twice
cool.
we did it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's so dope.
She's amazing.
Can you say this is the down? Thanks for listening to Downside as Which one do you want?
Oh God! Wait, you didn't look at like
Re-
the impressions from Mad TV, did you? Because I don't do them.
Oh.
This is like my nightmare. I don't do
Which
them.
one? Which one?
Is that JD
I was
Power?
one of 2 white
Yeah,
males in the
JD
entire
Power.
cast.
What does JD Power sound like?
Oh, I think. I was just like, I just have a pair of nunchucks whipping it around. I had a fat suit on and a friggin' pompadour.
Fat suit.
Yeah, and a I think a 3-piece suit. And I was just like, I'm JD Power, goddammit. And I would just rock stuff off the table.
This is the downside.
This is the downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.